So now this is at this point right here, all we've done is we have negative 18 is less than or equal to 6 minus 4d. The first thing we did, we were going through this particular lesson right here, and the problem we had was negative 18 is less than or equal to 6 minus 4d. So first thing we did was we said, what are our like terms? Well, our like terms would be 18 and 6, these two right here, right? And then after that, we need to move one of them out of those two like terms. The one we move is the one that's attached to a variable, and this 6 minus 4d, this attached to a variable. So the 6 is the one we're moving. We're changing it to opposite of what it is. We changed it to negative 6. We moved it on that side, made that negative 6, right? Then these signs are the same, so we have to add them. That's how we got 24, and then we kept it negative 24. Then we brought everything else down. We brought the sign down. We brought the negative 4d down right here, okay? And then we have to divide, and so we're dividing by negative 4, and so we're dividing by negative 4 here, and we see we have we can actually cross the same item out when you're dividing, right? And so we're canceling that out, and then we're going to bring everything else straight down. So we're going to go ahead and bring the d down. We're going to bring this down, and then this is negative 24 divided by negative 4. Now that's the same as doing this. And we know that's 6 because a negative times a negative is a negative times a positive is a negative. So this has to be a positive 6. So we put the 6 here. Now this is where the confusion came. Whenever you're dividing by a negative number, and I'm gonna write this down, when dividing by a negative number, switch direction of the sign. Now, the reason why this kind of confused people, because see right here, there's also something else I told you. I said that if the whole number comes first, you also have to put the d over here and the 6 over there, and then you have to reverse the symbol here. Okay, but also the rule says that you need to switch the symbol if you're dividing by a negative number. So you had two rules. So basically what you're doing is you're switching, and you're switching right back. And so here's the best way that I can say it. And you may not get too many of these, but whenever you have a number right here that starts as a number, a whole number, and then the variables on the other side, we know we're going to do this, d, and we're going to put the 6 on this side. Well, if you're dividing by a negative number, leave the sign the same. Okay. Two minus 3y is less than negative 22. In this situation, we have like terms. What are our like terms, class? You got them.
Huh? 2 22.
And 22. Okay, that didn't sound too bad. Okay, now which one are we going to move? The 2 or the negative 22?
The 2.
Yes, because see, you have to picture this sign right here. Picture the sign right here like an equal sign, even though it's a less than sign. And that means that this negative 22 is next to the equal sign. This other like term right here, the 2, is actually attached to this negative 3y. So it's attached to something. That's the one we changed. So right now it's a positive 2. So we make that a negative 2. Move it on that side, make that a negative 2. Cross this out. And then these signs are the same. So you know we're going to add, it's going to be negative 24. Cross that out. And then we bring everything else down. We have the sign. We have the negative 3y. Now at this point, we go back to division. We're dividing. Whatever number is right next to the variable. And you see once again, what is it? It's a negative number. So we're going to have the same trick, or you can say the same situation that we had last time, because it is like a trick. In a way, it's like I didn't do it on purpose to trick you, but you're gonna have to remember these rules. As long as you're following the rules, you'll understand it. All right, so -3, we put the same number underneath here and same number underneath there. Okay, just like last time, we're gonna go ahead and cross out our terms here. When we're dividing, if we got identical numbers, we're gonna go ahead and take care of those. Bring everything else down. We have y. Now we have less than, and then these two right here we're dividing. Remember, -3 divided by -24 is a +8, right? Okay, we have 8. But here's the challenge. So a lot of you did put this as your final answer, but you forgot this. If you got a negative number, you're dividing by. If this is a denominator, right? If that number is negative, you got to reverse this. And so we're still going to bring the numbers down, but this sign right here has to go the opposite direction. And so when you graft it, okay, this is 8, and it is greater than 8. It's not equal, so it's going to be an open circle, and then it's going to go in this direction until infinity. So no excuse for that. We'll deal with that. Okay. Also, let's go ahead and do this particular challenge. So the first thing we want to do is, now this has distributive property. So that means we have to multiply whatever numbers on the outside with everything that's inside here. And if there's a variable attached to it, we have to bring that variable along with it. And so for this first one, the 2 times 7n should have given you 14n, and then 2 times -1, get -2. Then we just bring everything else down, but we still have to do the same thing on this side. 3 times 5, we say was 15. Then we have 3 times -1n is -3n. Okay. Now at this point, we have a like terms. We have variables on two sides, and you guys got to remember your rules, because we've been going through this for a minute. When you have a variable on both sides, the only exception is if one of these variables right here, well, on like terms, if it's all by itself, then we wouldn't do what I'm saying. But it's not. We have an equal sign, or we have this greater or equal sign in the middle here. So in this situation, we need to move the lower like term over to the higher like term. And when I say lower in this situation, I'm saying the lower in value. Okay. So what is lower in value in the -3n right here and the 14n? Which one is lower in value out of those two?
14. 14.
Okay, no.
-3.
Thank you.
Okay. It's -3.
Okay, -3.
-3.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so yes, this -3 is obviously lower than +14. Would you rather owe someone $3, or you would rather someone give you $14? Obviously, if someone gives you $14, you're richer than if someone takes $3 from you. So obviously, -3 is lower. So let's change that to the opposite of what it is. It's -3. We're going to make that +3n. We're going to take that same +3n. We're going to move it over here. Then we're going to cross that out. Then we have 14 plus 3. We know it's going to be 17n. We're going to cross this out. We bring the -2. We bring the sign down. And then we bring the 15 down. And then at this point, we say, well, what are our like terms? We have like terms of 15 and -2. Out of those two, which one are we going to move? The -2 or the 15?
-2.
-2.
Okay. Okay, so these are the like terms. I got -2 and 15, right? Out of these two right here, we said we're going to move the -2. We're going to change it we're going to change it to the opposite of what it is. And we know the -2, we got +2. We have +2. We're going to cross this out. We're going to bring everything else down. We got the 17n. We have this sign here. And then we have 15 plus 2 is 17. Now, there's no negatives we have to deal with, so we're just going to do this straight, straight like you're supposed to do it. Okay, so whatever number that's next to the variable, we're going to put that number underneath here, which is a 17. We're going to put the same number underneath there. We know we cross those out. We bring everything else down. We have an n, we have a greater or equal sign, and then what is 17 divided by 17?
1.
1, and so that's our answer, right? So that should have been your answer. Let me move on to number 4. Number 4.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so this is number 4. Number 4 was 2 plus 5b is greater than negative 43. Okay, so the first thing, what is our like terms, class?
2 and negative 43.
Okay, 2 and negative 43. Which one do we move out of those two, out of these two like terms?
2.
The 2, right? Because the 2 is attached to the 5b. So we're going to make that a negative 2. We're going to put on the side, make that a negative 2. And then we'll go ahead and cross out the things we manipulated. And same with this one, we're going to make that negative 45, right? The signs are the same. We must add and keep the same sign. Cross that out. Then we're going to bring everything else down. They haven't crossed out. We have this, and we have 5b. And now we're down to our last stage, which is division. Okay, whatever number we have that's right next to the variable, which is the 5, you're going to put that number underneath here. Put that same number underneath there. We're going to cross things out that we don't, that are identical when we're dividing, right? That makes this b. Okay, that makes that b is greater than, and then we have to divide, and I can look at that until that's negative 9, but I'm just going to set it up. 5 times negative 9 is negative 45, so it's negative 9. And then so if we were graphing this out, we're going to go ahead and put our graph line like that. Then we find where negative 9 is on the chart. All right, so on our line here, we have say if this is negative 9, or this is negative 9, and it says that b is greater than negative 9. So that means that our positioning is going to be going to the right, this direction. And then since it's greater than, it's not greater or equal than, it's going to be an open circle. And so we just make it an open circle. And so that would have been your answer. That's your total answer. That should have been the answer. Okay, now let's keep it moving. Let's go ahead to number 5. Okay, all right. Same thing, distributor property. Let's deal with the distributor property first, then we'll bring everything else down. So we have 4 times 5. 24 times negative 2x is what? 4 times negative 2x is what?
Negative 8. 8.
Still waiting. What is
Negative
4 times
8.
4 times negative 2x?
Negative 8. Negative 8.
No, I still don't hear you.
Negative 8x.
Thank you. And our like terms would be, out of these 3 terms here, what about like terms?
20 and 28. 20.
Okay, so we're talking about 20 and 28. Which one are we going to move?
20.
20.
Okay, right now it's nothing next to the 20, so you know that's automatically a positive. We're going to make that negative 20. Then we put it on this side, make that negative 20. Okay, then we're going to cross this out. All right, and then we're going to bring down everything. This is 28 minus 20. We know it's going to be 8. And then, yeah, that's going to be 8. Then we're going to have is greater than negative 8x. Okay. Now, something we must really look at. It looks like we have a negative coming up here. So just pay attention to that. This is one of those that end up confusing a couple people. Okay, so go ahead. We're going to go ahead and divide by the negative 8 because that's a number that's next to the variable here. We put the negative 8 here, put that same negative 8 there. And then let's go ahead and let's go ahead and we can eliminate the duplicates right there. I bring this x here. It's actually canceling. I don't want to call it cross canceling. Usually cross canceling would be crossways, but sometimes I misuse that. Okay, so then we have 8, negative 8 divided by 8. We know that's going to be a negative 1, right? Because a negative times a negative is a positive. So that's a negative 1.
Yes.
Now, in this situation, the only thing we're doing is we're switching we're switching the positioning, but this is another one of those where we're actually leaving them the same way. That's because we'll be switching back and forth. This is similar to that one that I the first problem we had where I wrote that whole paragraph on both sides. I'm gonna move this x over here. I'm going to move the negative 1 over here. You got to be paying attention because this is going to confuse some of you if you're not paying attention. And I see a couple people looking to the left or the right or somewhere else. There's no way in the world you're going to get this if you're not paying attention. When you have to flip this x and put it on this side and put the negative 1 on, usually I'll just bring this straight down. But since I'm dividing with a negative number, I would have to switch it back. So I might as well just leave it the same way. So it would be this way. That was very simple. If you don't understand what I just said, go look at the what you wrote, that whole paragraphs on the right side there, is that you're going to have to switch the positioning if the whole number starts first, but you're going to have to switch it back because of the dividing of the negative number. So what you can do is just leave it the same way. You can switch it back and forth or leave it the same way, but you just got to know the method or you're going to get it wrong.
Brother, I understand.
Okay, so
I completely
Me
understand.
too.
okay, great. Okay, well, great. Well, we'll see. When I test you on these, I'll see if you clearly understand. All right, so 6. Okay, we had a negative 4. Then we had 2n minus 6 is less than 1. It said n, but I'm just going to put 1 in because I always put a 1 whenever there's a variable by itself plus 6. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is distributive property. I want to multiply everything that's inside the box here. So I have a negative 4 times a positive 2n. What is that?
Negative 8n.
Thank you. Negative 8n, not just negative 8. Some of you got the problem wrong by not bringing this n down with it. Okay, now negative 4 times a negative 6. Okay, so negative 4 and negative 6 is plus 24. I have to edit all of that out. Okay, so negative 4, negative 8, we have negative 8n plus positive 24. Here, 1n plus 6. Now, at this point, we have an inequality where we have a variable on both sides of the sign here. We have a 1n and we have a negative 8n. Our rule is we need to move the lower end value out of the negative 8n and the 1n, and we know that negative 8 is lower because if someone takes negative $8 from you, it's obviously lower than someone giving you $1. And if you look at the number line here, some of you might be confused on that. If we're talking about the number line, look where 8 is at, and then look where. Okay, so if we have 0, and then we have negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, so forth. And over here, you got negative 8. Then over here, you have 1. Right here is 1. You know that this is less than. It's way over here. It's to the left. Everything there is lower. Okay. And that's why sometimes I say, what's lower, negative 2 or negative 8? Obviously, negative 8 is. Even though 8 numerically, when you look at 8, you say 8 is larger than 2. But when it comes to negative numbers, you gotta, it's a reverse rule, opposite day. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and erase this. Finish our challenge here. We're trying to find out which one is lower in value, and we just said it is that it's -8. We must change that -8 to the opposite of what it is, and we know the opposite of -8 is yes, +8n. Take that same +8n and move it on this side. Then we have to cross this out. Now we're going to bring everything else down that we have not crossed out. We have 24. We have this sign right here. We have the 9n right here. Now we have +6. Now we go to, we have a variable on one side. We have a variable on one side. You must move the one that's attached to the like terms. We have two like terms here. We have 6 and then we have 24. Picture this sign right here. Picture that as a equal sign. We know this 24 we would not move, but we would move this 26 since it's attached to the 9n. We changed to the opposite of what it is. Right now, it is a +6. We're going to make that a -6. Take that same -6. We're going to move it on this side. Cross that out. Now, we have our adding and subtraction rules that says that when the signs are different, this is a +24 since there's nothing there. We know that that's going to be a +18. And then we have greater than symbol, and then we have the 9, and then we have the n. Okay. Now at this point right here, whatever number that's right next to the variable, we have to divide that on both sides. So we have the 9 here, we have the 9 there, and now we have to cross these out. We bring the n down, we bring that down, and then we have 2, right? Because 8 divided by 9 is 2. Now this is the same situation here, where we're not dividing by negatives. You have to remember that, but we're going to switch position. The n and the 2, this we have to switch the position of this this symbol here, right? So it's going to go that way. So that would have been your answer for that one. Okay, we have 3n minus 10 is less than or equal to 7. 2 plus n. Okay, can you guys go ahead and do that yourself real quick? All right, let's go ahead and do this one. So the first thing we should have done is distributive property. Remember, please excuse my dear Aunt Shaniqua. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and 7 times 2 here. Go ahead and put that in color so we can see it clearly. Okay, so we have 7 times 2. We know that's going to be 14. And then we also have 7 times, and we have to put I put imaginary 1 here for this one right here. So 7 times the 1n, we should have been a +7n. Okay. Now let's bring everything else down. We have the sign here. We have the -10, and then we have the 3n. Okay. And at this point right here, we say, what are our like terms? We have our like terms of the 7n and the 3n. The lower is obviously 3, so we put -3n. Move that same -3n on this side. Cross that out. We have 7 minus 3. That gives us 4n. Cross that out. Bring everything else down. We haven't crossed out the plus sign, the 14. We have the less than or equal to sign. Then we have -10. Now at this point, we have a variable on one side. And remember our rule, we have a variable on one side. The other two are like terms. We need to move one of those. And obviously the 14 is the one we're going to be moving. -14. Make that -14. Cross this out. Now we have -24. And then we have less than or equal to, and then 4n. And then at this point, we have a division challenge. So whatever number that's right next to the variable, we need to divide by that number. So that's the 4 there. So we put the 4 underneath here, put that same 4 underneath there. We know these two are going to cross out. We bring everything else down. We have a -6. We have a greater or equal than sign. Excuse me, a less than or equal than sign. And and this n, we bring that on down. Now, in this situation, only thing we have is we have the positioning. The whole number shouldn't go first. The n should go first. We're going to do n, put the -6, and obviously when you change that direction, you need to change the direction of this sign to the opposite. So this should go this direction. And so this is your final answer. If you got that, give yourself a round of applause. Okay, nobody got it. I guess so. All right, so all right. Okay, the last one I'm gonna do is the bonus, and nobody got it. All right. So we do this very similar to the other ones where we had to do distributive property. But what I'm going to do is wherever I see a variable with no number, I'm just going to put a 1 there. So we'll put a 1 right here. And also there's another area where we should have put a 1 right here where this negative is. Put a 1 there too. Okay. And we're going to have to do distributive property for both of these. And then we're going to bring everything else and just line it up. Okay. So let's go ahead and do the first one. So 7 times negative 1x is going to be negative 7x. Then we have 7 times a positive 4, which is a positive 28. And then let's bring the rest of the items down. Plus 16 greater or equal than 5x. And then let's just do the distributive property here. Negative 10, excuse me, negative 1 times 10 is negative 10, x that is. And then we take that same negative 1 and multiply it by a positive 6, and or by negative 6, and that should be a positive 6. And then we have a negative 6 left over. Okay. Now the next thing we want to do is see if there's like terms that we can make one number that's on the same side. And we do. We have the 16, assume we have a 28 and 16, and we can make that 44. Cross that out. Bring this negative 7x down. And then this is positive, so we're going to put plus there. And then we're going to go ahead and put greater than or equal to 5. And then before I put that 5 down there, actually, I'll just put the 5x down there, because what you have is a 5x and a negative 10x. These could be one number, and obviously that's going to be 5x. 10 minus 5 is 5. And actually, this is going to be a negative since the larger number is negative. Okay. And so it's a negative 5x. And then we're going to go ahead and cross those out. Don't need those anymore. And then what you have left is a 6 minus 6, which is 0. So all of that is gone. So now what we have is we have 3 terms here. Okay, let's move that 44 over a little bit. Make it a little more. Okay, and so now the next thing we want to do is find our like terms. Our like terms, first of all, if we're using the variables here, the negative 7 and the negative 5x, well, this is where there's an exception to. When you have this negative 5 that's right next to the sign here, we don't move this like term. We're going to move this like term. It doesn't matter if it's lower or higher or any of that. That's the only time this rule is a little bit different, okay? So this negative 7, we're going to change it to the opposite of what it is, and that's going to be a positive 7x. Move it on this side, make that a positive 7x. Okay, cross that out. And then these two signs are different. That's going to be 2x. And then we bring our sign down here. And then we bring 44. And we can actually kind of see our answer. Whatever number that's right next to the variable, which is the 2, we need to put that number underneath here. Put that same number underneath there. And then these two are going to cross out. We bring everything else down. We have an x. We have a greater or equal to, and then we have 22. Obviously, we can't start off with the whole number. We have to start off with the x. So let's switch position. X is greater or equal to 22. But actually, we're supposed to change that since we're changing the position of the numbers. I mean, the variable in the numbers. So instead of this going this direction, it's going to go the other direction. So x is less than or equal to 22 is your final answer. And so that should have been the final answer. That is correct. All right, you guys did a great job. Give yourself a round of applause. Okay, let's go ahead and do this.